What is going on, everyone, and welcome into the channel. We're going over the top stocks to start off May live stream here. So if you're tuning in after the fact, hit that thumbs up button and stick around. We're going to be diving into what's hot right now, and then we're going to be diving into what we're looking at going forward, because that's the juicy stuff we want to talk about, obviously, right? So for those who are tuning in, we're looking at futures as of right now going into this week. They are looking pretty green, right? So we're green across the board. Not by much, 0.25% pretty much across the board. S&P, Dow, Nasdaq. Small caps a little bit higher, almost a 0.5%. VIX is down, so volatility a little bit down, right? That's good going into tomorrow. So we'll see how this plays out, obviously, for this coming week. But we'll be diving into all this stuff. We're going to be doing right here is we're actually going to switch on over to our big fat chart layout. It took me a while to kind of finalize, like, just creating this layout on Webull. Not that it took me a while to finalize it, I just never did it. So we have a big fat chart to look at. We're going to be diving into all this stuff first. But what I want to dive into first is I want to look at some stocks that were hot last week. So we got to dive into Bctx, a cancer play. Look at this stock, blew up actually from sub $4 and hit up over, I believe it actually, let's take a look at the 4-hour chart here. What do we get to? We hit 78.82 in the after hours on Friday. Absolutely insane on BTX. So that's nuts. That's awesome, though, because what that tells us here is that, you know, we got some low float runners potentially coming up for the week. So we'll be diving into more stocks, hopefully, that we see moves like this going forward. Obviously, we'd love to see more of that. On top of that, OCGN. This stock is strong. OCGN, they essentially, what we're looking at here is because of how bad essentially the virus is in India. This is like the India, I guess, strain vaccine candidate here. Their vaccine or their partner, they're working with a partner to create that vaccine, roll it out. So this is huge. This has been a big stock, a lot of attention on it, lots of volume actually increasing from midweek on last week. So this gets back up over at 1350 over 14. This is a very interesting play this week. I think if it gets over 14, you know, then after 14, we can take a look at this. We have a little resistance line right here at this 1462 area. Those are the next areas to watch for OCGN. So if you're looking for like a short, if you were looking to short this stock, yeah, you don't want to see it getting up over like 1450. Then you're probably looking at a better risk reward there. If you were looking to go short this stock up here with a stop loss on your short, maybe at like 15, if it gets over 15, you know, something like that, because then it can go nuts. Or if there's news, right? But for the longs, right, some good news here, or this thing gets over 1450, that's great news. You know, just the reason why I want to mention that is because if we do see some negative news or something like that, this stock is going to come crashing down pretty hard. So, you know, just make sure you're aware of both sides going into it. We have some resistance up here. So the shorts are looking at where this stock is headed. It's been super strong, so I would not want to be short this stock right now. I'm telling you that right now until there was news or there was some reason for me to believe, or the thing went to like $25 or more. You know, maybe you think about it if it even makes sense. But at that point, it's like, why try? Why even bother, right? There's probably better opportunities. You know, so we'll see how this one plays out this week. It's going to be interesting to watch. And then on top of that, I did want to pull up some Bitcoin and Ethereum because they have been making some moves. We want to take a peek here at Bitcoin. What's Bitcoin up to? We take a look at the daily chart on Bitcoin. Pretty big rebound off of that crazy drop down here to like 47,000 a few days back, about a week or so back, right? Week and a half, you know, ish. Last weekend, I think. And then it kind of rebounded pretty nicely, and it's pushing back on up. So Bitcoin's getting back up there. We have a lot of Bitcoin sympathy plays that could be in play, or you know, or bouncing off bottoms, which could be decent plays. But check out Ethereum. I think this is actually really cool to look at. As we speak, this thing is like teasing that 3,000. So it looks like Ethereum wants 3,000. This is a crazy looking chart. And from a lot of the stuff that I've seen, research and stuff that basic stuff that I've seen, potentially there's more here in terms of upside potential than Bitcoin, at least in the shorter term or potentially longer term. So that's why a lot of people like this, like Ethereum over Bitcoin, at least for return wise. Now, again, we are getting pretty overextended. So if I already have some from way back, so I'm just holding my you know, Ethereum, my Bitcoin, at least as of right now. Unless if we got a Bitcoin drop down to like 40K, I would probably buy more, but we didn't. We got down to like 47, and I was like, not really worth it. So we'll see what happens. that said, let's take a look. Let's dive in some stocks. All I ask, hit that thumbs up button, guys. I appreciate you for tuning in. We're going to be doing this. We're going to be out of here in an hour. I had to get off in an hour, so we'll go for an hour hard, and then, hopefully we cover everything we got to cover at that point. Sometimes we go for a little bit longer, depending upon how active things are. They're getting a little more active, but again, right, we can probably condense it down to an hour. So those who are coming in and watching the stream after the fact don't have to sit through, too much if they want to watch the whole thing. SSYS. Let's take a peek at this bad boy. That's actually a nice chart. 200 SMA right here. I don't know the details, of this stock, but if we take a look here, take a look at this trend line. I'm just loving the charting layout that I have. It's so big, especially I think my screen's like 20 something inches, 27-ish, I want to say. So it's just like, it's awesome. I know if you're on mobile or something, it may suck because what I had in the past, for example, if I was using like this layout, like on mobile, right? This is a much smaller chart, but now this is a big chart. I like this layout. We're kind of consolidating, condensing down. I would love to see it holding up over 20 bucks would be great. It looks like it's $20 is the lowest it's been going here recently. So 20 bucks support. So you're risking about $2.50 at the downside if you will hold it down 20 bucks. But I think if it breaks out of this downtrend, you're going to have resistance up here at like 25. So it's got to break over 25, and the 50 SMA will be up around there as well. So 25, 26 over that gets very interesting to the upside for SSYS. I kind of like that. That chart looks nice. Let's see. CTIB. That's another one that's sitting at a relatively nice and low level. I do like this chart as well. This is one of those, if I was looking deeper into this guy, what I would look at it would be pretty much, we're at a relative low. We get a spike. So the way that I'm playing, I think that's really important too. The way that I'm playing a lot of the penny plays, swing plays that I am currently in is simply, a lot of them are going to be simply like similar plays to this in terms of the chart setups. Ideally, I would like to see more, and the ones that I get into in the future. And just selling the spike, coming back in and buying down if it dips back down, and playing the ups and the downs. And just like, for example, BTCX, I believe is what the ticker is. Bctx maybe? Bctx. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, so we can get, I have 500 left, at least as of now. So I bought some down here in the under 350, trimmed some up here over 4. And then I have some sell set in case it hits, because it hit up in the after hours, I believe. It pushed on up. Let's take a look where it hit. It hit at 425. So I sold some at 423. I had it sell at 423. And so that's the thing. It's like I want to get back to like 1,000 shares on that guy. So what I'll be doing personally is that this thing comes back down sub 4, comes back down to like 350-ish area. I'll be buying back 100, 200, 300, a couple hundred shares at a time, adding back in. And then I'll be selling into the pops. And the reason why this is a cancer play, super tiny market cap, super low float stock, so it's super thin. But BTX was running on up, and so BCTX was kind of like a sympathy play in a sense. Got some good volume on that, so we'll see. Honestly, they just hired some PR firms, so we're going to get some juicy press releases at some point in the future for BCTX, so I'm really waiting for that. We get a press release, and we're going to get a lot more attention on the stock. Ideally, you want to start seeing those 100%, 200% runners in the pre-market hours or during the day. When we start seeing that happen more and more often, well then, you're going to get stocks like this that get news if and when, right? It's not a matter of if, it's when on this. And obviously, hopefully we get some good news to start, right? We don't want to get like some offering news right away, ideally, right? But it'll be, more so when. And so I just sell the pops. I like it. Until this thing gets to like, unless the thing was like trading up over around 10 bucks. I don't really want to play this thing when it's like up around 10. It's got a lot more downside, unless they're really proving themselves to me, right? So I like where I like this one. That's kind of the thought process, is selling the pops and buying back on the dips on those plays going forward. CEI, yeah, I'll tell you that I'm in. How much? I don't know if I have a starter in CEI. Yeah, I have 1,400 in CEI. I like CEI, actually. You know why? Because we take a look at this. Let's see. We want to look at crude. We want to look at crude oil futures. Let's pull this bad boy up. Investing.com. So crude oil futures, if we take a look at the daily on this guy, it popped up here to like 66. and then it's pulled back down to like 60, and then it's been kind of grinding its way back on up. So oil's been pushing on up. I do like oil plays, and so this is one of the first ones that I started to grab. I know you guys know I like HUSA. There's USEG. There's a plenty of where that came from. I like CEI. This is one that I almost can guarantee will get back over $1 at some point, which is why I have some sells already set for 97. So I like to sell just before those, whole number areas. So I'm looking for that. Also, the 200 SMA, 50 SMA are up in that, 95 up to like 105, 107 area. So there's going to be some resistance up in that area. But CEI loves to drop news and is one of the first stocks when oil stocks start running, when oil starts popping on up. CEI is one of the first ones people come to, kind of a cult stock. So grabbing a cult stock like CEI when it's super low, for example, NAKD, if you were able to grab NAKD before everybody got on that one at the end of last week, you're sitting in a really good risk reward. So this one's kind of one that I'm watching. It's sitting nice and low. There's not much attention on it as of right now. Volume has been pretty much chilling on out, but oil has been pushing on up. So this is a good one, I think, to get a nice little pop at some point in the future, and I play it for the pop. So I sit back here. Yeah, my average is up over 5 cents from over where it's at, but I sit back. I'll add more. I'll buy 1,000 more shares. I'll buy 1,000 more shares every 5-10 cents it drops from here, and I'll just add into that position, and I'll wait for that pop because I've been playing this stock before. I know kind of how it trades, and so I feel pretty confident in that. Obviously, if there's some negative news, that's another story. That's always the risk, right? At the end of the day. Let's see. So CEI, I like that. So I would look for $1 first, and up to 150 would be the next area to watch on that one. It's got to grind through $1, but it could. Sun's out, guns out. We got to do it. It was like 90 here today, so why not? Annie is an interesting one because this is one I've been seeing a bunch of people, I believe, or is it Annie? I forget. This is actually an interesting stock. If you take a look at this chart, I like this setup. If we dive into this horizontal line right across here at like 190-ish area, 195-ish, and we can kind of put that area in roughly. On top of that, you kind of have a downtrend right here, so we can pretty much draw something like this. Here's your wedge, right? You want to see the stock holding up here around that 190-ish area. You don't want to see it dropping too much below some of these wicks, which some of them down to like 185. So you don't want to see it. You don't want to see the stock closing below 185 or 190 ideally. If it does and it pops back up to the upside, this thing can make a quick breakout over 225, 230, and be at $3 in no time, right? If we get some momentum back into small caps, and the volume seemingly actually, look at this. The volume is starting to perk up a little bit here. So the volume perked up a little bit, not too much price movement, 30, 40 cents, swings intraday. So, some of those moves. Yeah, I think this is a potential play here. It's setting up for at least a technical breakout. I kind of like that. First time I am, how old, about 22? 20? I guess I'll be 23 in a couple months. Honestly, I'm at that point now. I just ever since I turned 20, I was like, I want to go back to 19. But no, yeah, I've been trading more actively, I would say, the past 2 years. Before that, I was kind of always involved and always kind of, I would be more to options. I knew it was a thing. I followed it, all the time. I followed stock all the time. But I never really got super deep into technicals until 2-3 years ago. And then since 2 years ago, I've been kind of more serious in that. And so it's been fun. And what we've been doing here is obviously, right, starting from that level, I think it's a lot more realistic rather than you're seeing these people who, already have massive followings or have massive accounts. And so what we've been doing here is the past couple months, for those who are new, we're 7 months in. So the challenge was to try to go from 15,000 in the Webull to 100,000 in about a year, in 52 weeks. And so we're at 44,000 right now. So we're at from 15 to 44, and now we're kind of trying to get up to that next push. That's the goal. So it's a more realistic number. We're not talking about trading millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars. One day that's the goal, right? But at least that's the nature of it right now. So that's what we're doing here. For those who are new, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Hit that thumbs up, and let's keep on going. So Bctx setting up for a bull run. I still like where it's at. I think it could certainly pull back. We'll see how tomorrow goes for Bctx. It should be a fun one. I think it could pop to if BTX keeps it up. Bctx could be a nice runner. Also, BTX, watch for the offering. It's coming. They're going to do an offering, by the way. If we actually take a look here, BTX And if we go to where our BAM SEC, BTX, Brooklyn Immunotherapeutics, if we pull this up, they filed an S1 on 4/30. So this is essentially, what do we got here on this bad boy? 1.379 million shares of common stock. So just understand that is coming. This is probably going to be pulling back pretty hard at some point, just for those who may be in on maybe like a weekend, push. ADVM offering recently. Those are actually some decent plays, offering post-offering plays generally. Let's pull this bad boy up. Here it is. Oh yeah, this is a drop off a cliff play. Now, this is one that I would want to be diving deeper into what they have going on, but if we scroll back out here, what do we see? We have some, if we look back way out on the chart, we can draw some lines in just so we can kind of see. Let's draw some lines. We got some lines, looks like 275-ish. Could be an area. It's currently sitting up around 4, so it could come down a lot more. It's a really weird spot. Ideally, I don't know. If we can draw some more lines in here. We got resistance. That was a potential area right here. So this is actually it's actually at this area. So I would like to see it holding up around like 375. If it can, great. If not, then it comes down. I don't want to catch this thing if it starts downtrending. So I personally, on these types of plays, if you're going to play it right after the offering, give it a day or two, then set a stop loss or a mental stop loss under like the low. So right now, like 375 might be your low. And maybe if you look at the 4-hour chart, maybe it's lower actually. It might be lower. No, 375. So this 375 is your stop. So what is that going to risk you? About 20, 30 cents or so to the downside from where it's at right now, not even, and you're going to risk 15, 20 cents to the downside from here. And then you're looking for this thing to make a push back on up. And obviously there's a massive gap to fill here on the daily. So if we take a look at this, gets up over 450, we got a gap, right, as we call it. And anytime these gaps get filled, ideally you would like for them to drop some news or, eventually at some point in the future. Many times what can happen, though, is you can see a quick recovery and then eventually the stock starts pulling back on off and it never fills that gap. You might get a quick rebound play and that's it. So that's how I play it. I put a stop under 375 and that's it. So, right here, your minimal risk. You have a lot of upside potential here. And as long as it doesn't drop below 375, you're looking pretty good, I would say. FAMI did a massive offering as well, and they also have been bouncing pretty nice off of that area. Look at that. Like this is kind of like an example of what could happen after one of those offering plays. You get a drop and then a pretty big bounce. This one I think got a lot of attention on FAMI is because it was just such a cheap stock. It was like the cheapest stock now, trading on the NASDAQ once it did the offering. And so there haven't been many penny stocks under $1, and there have been more and more things have been pulling back. But this one drops below 1, and it fell down to like 30 cents. So they did an offering at 30 cents. So that one's a pretty big one. But that's an example of a pretty big bounce. The prior stock we just looked at maybe doesn't have as much attention on it. So that's why it may not bounce as well. So we'll see. It's amazing. Yeah, the thing about it is that when it comes down to it, you're always learning. So at the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, compared to somebody who's been doing this and who's been in the game for so long, right? Who am I? Who am I? Right? That's it, right? At the end of the day, it's all about how much do you care about it? I have to say the past and it really was before the COVID. So everyone always talks about the COVID trader era and stuff. It was before that I really got into stuff, but that obviously was awesome. That whole period, penny stocks were going crazy, and this has been fun to watch. And there's a lot more attention and a lot more ideas bouncing back and forth. People getting interested in this stuff. But it's really, at least nowadays, what you're kind of seeing is you're filtering out kind of the garbage, and you're filtering out who's actually, who's trying to be here for the long term and who's not. And you can kind of see that. And I think it's good. So what does it matter to me, right? In terms of people who care about these videos, these lives, numbers are down, views. At the end of the day, I would still not be, if I was doing it here for the numbers and for the views and for whatever, I wouldn't be doing it. I don't do any of that Patreon stuff. I just don't think that's personally not my style of doing stuff. Way I see it is that if you can make money trading stocks, you can make money trading stocks, and it should be, the barrier is already massive enough for most people who don't understand how that stuff works, technicals, fundamentals, psychology, which is like 90%. I'll tell you that right now. Psychology is like huge, 75+% of it. At the end of it, the mental aspect of trading. It's already hard enough. So why add the extra barrier of making somebody pay for an alert? Which ultimately, what's it doing? It's making them rely on you, and I don't want that. That's like the whole opposite of what I want to do. I want people to come to my stuff, have a great resource. We come here all the time, every day. We talk about stuff, bounce ideas off each other, strategies, how-tos sometimes, and things like that. But at the same time, you want to be able to do it yourself so that you can sit back, right? Sit back on your, wherever, and be your own trader, right? Whether it's a part-time thing, whether it's, for money in your IRA, whether it's long-term investing, all that stuff. Everyone's gonna have their own style. But the problem that, the alert stuff does is that, maybe it helps some people, but I just don't think it's worth it, and I don't think it's helpful. That's just my take. Sorry to rant on that stuff. At the end of the day, Bitcoin at 57K. Bitcoin does look like it's Ethereum. We got to talk right Ethereum. For those who missed like the first few seconds that we jumped on, we dove into Ethereum really quick. Look at this. It's, oh my, we're going to see it hit 3,000 here on the stream. We might see it hit 3,000 on the stream. But yeah, this has been looking good. If we take a look, let's take a look at Bitcoin too. Let's see. Bitcoin, yeah, Bitcoin just got a little pop right here. So Bitcoin at 57.4 now. They're pushing right now. I think ETH is going to push 3,000. We'll probably watch it live on the stream. Smash that like button. Yeah, I appreciate that. It's all funny. It's so funny looking back though. The way that I see it too is to gauge the interest of how everyone has been. Just in terms of like live streams, who's actually, how many people are on the live, right? We used to have, I don't know, a couple hundred, I would say at once. That was like January, February peak hype when everyone was into stocks. Now, we get a lot less. And that's just because you kind of see that people who, were here for the quick buck, for the fast money, they're gone. And now it's like, okay, who's actually serious? So that's why I've honestly, the way I see it too, is I kind of like it now. Because you kind of filter out a lot of the people who weren't really serious and the stupid, pump and dump stuff and, buy this stock and what now it's more so of like, okay, let's actually think about a style, a plan, a strategy behind our trading so that we can be consistent in this game. And you don't have to hit 1,000,000% per year. If you can do 100% per year, if you can do 50% per year, compound that over 5 years, over 10 years, do the math on how much money you start with and how much you'll have in 10 years, So you go through the ups and downs, and that's the way that I see it too, right? If I just stopped right now and I didn't make $1 more on my account from where I started in September, that's still an incredible return, right? If I can replicate that year over year over year, incredible return. And I'll take that to the bank every year. I haven't entered ADVM. I was planning on waiting and seeing if there's, yes. So I would give it, you could try it now with the stop being that low, that 375, if you want. And then if it does dip below, cut it and reassess, see if it stays and holds a level. And as it holds that level, then you're good to go. And then I would be looking for an entry there. Not to worry, the views. No, it's not about the. I'm not here to be the sob and whatever. And that's not how I'm going to do it. But it's just funny. I think it's funny. It tells you who's serious and who's not. Well, not necessarily. You don't know who, but it tells you that most people were just here for the fast money, right? So ETH is getting stalled here at that 3,000. So we'll dive into some stocks now. Let's see. 70. Yeah, I mean, the reality here is that you hit the thumbs up button, more people get pushed the video so that we can get more ideas in the chat. I've always said that in the past, and that's just how it works. So it's pretty simple. Still sticking since December. Learned a lot. That's it. That's awesome. I mean, there's so many people that are going to be. We can actually take a look at SPY. There's so many people that made a lot of money that then gave it all back, or even if you gave a lot of it back or gave it all back or gave it all back and more, right? If you're here to learn from that experience and not do that again, you're gonna be much better off, obviously, in the future. SPY's at a super interesting spot. I mean, I can still see a pretty substantial pullback from where we are, but it looks like it wants to go green in terms of, let's take a look at futures again really quick. What are they? They're still green. So futures are still green. So it looks like SPY, at least as of right now, and that could change. A lot could change going into tomorrow morning. There could be some crazy news. Who knows? that come out on SPY. But that's where we're at on SPY. This thing can pull back. I think a couple, maybe $10 on SPY, down low fours would be a good spot for a springboard back to the upside potentially going forward. But I think a nice slower kind of up and down oscillation is what we want to see, is what we kind of need to see realistically going forward in this market, because we were on pace. I did a video a couple days back, I think, and I was saying how we're on pace for like 33% returns this year, which is nuts. I mean, you average it out the past like 50 years, and the S&P returns about 10% per year on average over like the past like 30 to 50 years. So if you do the math, right, 33%, that's nuts, right? And that's after, right, understanding that we had, however many months, like 9 months since that pandemic drop to recover that. We recovered that and some, and then we're still up what we're up, since the start of this year, which is kind of crazy, right? Stimulus, all that stuff adds in, right? But, that is what it is. Been here since February, and it's been a hell of a ride. Yes. Yes. Awesome. Awesome stuff. Okay, so we're talking about SPY, right? So this thing I think can pull back. It wants to push up. Looks like 420-ish is a resistance for right now. Reason why we have this line is we got this kind of line at the top end of our range, which we kind of like peaked over a couple times, and we'll see how it plays out. It seems to be slowing down for now, so that could be it. I mean, I'd be a fan of that. I'd be a fan of if SPY decides to kind of make a slow little chop up and down, and your kind of range that you're trading in, whether that's uptrend, downtrend, is like 1% to 2% rather than, even less. Like it's like 0.5% to 1%, rather than have like these swings. If you look at some of these swings, from these highs down to the lows right here, you're looking at 5% dip. I mean, that volatility is good and bad. I mean, it's fun for those who want to take advantage of it, but also at the same time, it's like it messes with you a lot. So, thoughts on Bctx? I'm in. I'm still in. I have 500 shares left. I've been scaling out. The reason why is because I scale out. I try to scale out more when there's no real news running behind it. So if they drop some news, yeah, this thing can go crazy. But if they don't drop news, it's really running in sympathy to Bctx, the stock that's going crazy. This one could go a lot more if it catches on this coming week. But my intention here on this guy is to look to sell this thing. If it comes up a little bit more, I'll be taking profits. And then if it dips back on down, I'll reload those dips and just continue to play that cycle. Play it again and again and again. And really, like I said in a recent video, right, one stock is all you need. You don't need to be, trading a million different stocks. If you keep it simple, that's how I'm doing it. I have a couple key stocks that I've narrowed in on recently, and it's pretty much, I'm keeping it simple to those, right? I'm not going and trying to find all these tons of penny stocks just to throw a bunch of money in and kind of forget what I'm even in. I'm being very simple and very selective in what I'm in. Yeah, I'm in I want to say 12 positions. Some are penny stocks, some are other stuff. One's like a SPAC that's at like $10. So it depends. It depends on, I'm in a bunch of different things, but for the most part, I'm keeping my penny stock plays, swing ideas to like 10 or less. I don't want to have more than 10 at one time. Even 10's too many. But I'm always scaling in and scaling out of those at pretty much how I'm playing it. And then on top of that, I've been kind of dabbling into more day trades. So we're going to be upping the size on some of those day trades this week. So we'll see how that plays out. And I think as the market heats up, we could be taking advantage of some bigger moves to the upside. Ideally, that's kind of how I want to play it, and that's how I've been mentally thinking about it, is that, and for most people, this is not, it doesn't make sense to do that. Day trades is not where I'd recommend you go. But mentally, I've been playing it as if I'm on a even slate, and it's just the day trades. So how do my day trades do this past week, right? Was I green or not? And the swings will work themselves out. They're just going to be, they're more of a patience play. Take more time. CODX is actually a nutty one. This is one that at the beginning of the pandemic, I want to say I made a lot of money on CODX, or not a lot of money, but like in terms of my account, this is one of my bigger plays at the time. I think I was in CODX sub $1 back when it was like, super crazy. And at this point in time, I don't know how many shares I had, but I was dealing with an account probably under 10K at the time that I was taught when I was even trading this stock. And so, it was nuts. This thing has been crazy, but it's come back down to a range that I kind of like. I have this area highlighted as an area that it's come back down to. So I kind of like it down here. Would like to see it holding up around $8. If it holds $8, that looks pretty good. So you're risking about 85 cents to the downside. But on a stock like this, a higher price stock, right, than like a true penny stock, you risk, let's say, $1 to the downside, but you're looking for multiple dollar upside. Like we're looking here on this stock, I wouldn't be looking to sell this thing until at least we fill this gap right here, which puts us up to this little gap right here. So this puts us up to like 11.80. So that's like $3. So you're looking to risk 1 for at least 3. That's a nice risk reward. I kind of like that. I just haven't been keeping up to date on what CODX is up to these days. So I don't know how viable or how solid of a play that is. I don't know, but that's just me because I haven't looked at it too deep. Zom's next earnings. Let's take a look at Zom. I'm telling you guys, I would be careful with Zom. I don't. Do we have info on their earnings? Let's pull this up. It's funny. I made a video going over like 5. Five stock sites that can make you rich. I mean, we're literally using them all. Like I don't have any like hidden stuff that I don't tell people in videos. Like I'm Seeking Alpha. We went to BAM SEC. Like we're using all the sites that we talk about. So they got the first sale on the 16th. A recent update was to build direct sales force. So they're building a sales force. So what this is telling me right here is that they're not selling much and they're just building a sales force out. So I don't know. I'd be very cautious on Zom. Reason why? Now Finviz, another one of those sites that we always use. Let's dive into this. So we take a look at Zom. They have nearly a $1 billion market cap. So here's the situation is going to be very, very similar with MVIS. So look at their market cap when they come out with earnings, right? Whenever that is, when they have earnings, that could be a massive sell the news or a sell the earnings event. Because if they come out and they say, hey, we only did X number of, we did like 500K in revenue. Again, you're looking at a company that is not as sexy as MVIS and the LiDAR and the future of EVs and all that stuff. So they're not even in that space. You're talking about like a pet related health company. Right, so understand that. Now, it got a lot of attention the past couple of months, and everyone was hyping it on up, and it was cool, and it made a crazy run. Great. Made your money, but now, again, look where it's at. This is a stock I personally, if I see some numbers out of the earnings, I'll probably be watching them. I would look to short. Now, nothing against the company. It would be because there's an opportunity, there's an arbitrage opportunity there where the stock is trading at a $1 billion market cap, potentially, right, depending upon how it handles the next couple of days or into the earnings. And if they drop earnings and they only did like 500K in sales, or they did like X, like under $1 million in sales, and they have like, I don't know how much cash they have right now, or at least last time I checked, I forget, or they have minimal cash, then it's like, okay, why are they trading at a billion dollar market cap? This stock will come back down under $1 fast. So just be careful of that. I would not hold Zom through earnings. I would not. I just personally, that's how I would do it, because we just saw what happened with MVIS, and it pulled back pretty hard. That's that. Buy some SEAH. Bigger than Deakin. Let's say, look. SEAH. This is a SPAC by Sports. Okay, I like this space. I'll look into this one. I'll write it down here. SEAH. My favorite play in the sports betting online gaming space right now, in terms of penny stock play, is ELYS. ELYS. Where is it? ELYS. I love this one. I love where it's sitting at. I want to get this one. I want this thing to come down a little bit further, and I'd be loving this thing. If I can get this thing down here in like the low 4s or even in the upper 3s, I'll be, doubling my position at that point. Personally, that's me. AMC, I haven't been following along with AMC personally, to be honest, too much. It's still putting in higher lows. I mean, I'm surprised as it is. I mean, you got a lot of lines here because we covered it, in the past, I think a lot. But yeah, this is an interesting one. We got some solid support here down under 10. So if it comes down under 10, we got some support down between 950 down to about 850 or so. Some solid support. So I don't want to see this thing. Ideally, if you're an AMC holder, you don't really want to see AMC come down below like 850-ish again. Probably comes down to 7-ish, $7.50, $7 again at that point, or even if it could come down towards into the 5s. I mean, I don't know how this one holds up, but it has had some decent momentum to the downside, at least as of late. So I don't like that look, but at the end of the day, it's coming down to some areas that it held up in the past. So it's coming down to some support right now. But I haven't been following AMC very, very closely. I know some people have been, but personally, I just haven't. AMPE, that one sounds familiar. Let's see, AMPE, they have improved in the 19 VAX by 80%. This is an interesting one. I personally would like this one down here towards 150 because we kind of have a range, right? It's been trading in, it's been kind of bouncing around in this range. So the bottom of this range has been down towards 150. So this thing starts dropping back down. I like it down there. Again, if there's some news, it could go up. $2 is resistance. It seems to be a hard resistance for right now. $2, yeah. But if it comes down below, 175, I'd be picking it up between 175 and 150 if you can. And then looking for this thing to break over 2, maybe get up to like 225, potentially further from there. But I like that setup down here towards the bottom of that range. That's just at least how I'd play it. VXRT, that's another one as well because this one had a great week, right? Look at VaxArt. Look at this. It kind of broke out of this range. It kind of got to the bottom and kind of hit max pain, as everyone likes to say. Then it pushed on up. This is getting to an interesting spot. It's up over 10, 11 bucks. If it can get over $11 again, I think this one has a shot to like 12, 13 area. We have some resistance up here around 1250 or so. So I could see it going to 1250 as the next target. Now, it actually, oh wait, look, in the after hours, it pushed up. So 1250 would probably be, well, look at that, hit 1225 as I'm speaking. So there it is. This is obviously from Friday. Had a crazy day. So I wouldn't be surprised if VXRT gaps up, hits 1225, 1250-ish. Why is that? If we look back on the chart, we have some resistance up there. This little spike up to about 1260 or 1275. A couple of these little spikes back up here to about 1250 or so. So if it can get over 1260, 1275, then that gets very interesting. Then I'd be looking up potentially to $15 on VXRT. This one also, though, I would want to dive into. On the surface, though, for a short, this could be a play for those who are just potentially looking at that side as well. This could be a play, and when I talk about shorts, for the most part, I wouldn't want to hold a short overnight, personally. But if you get VXRT, for example, the way that I've been looking at shorts as of late, the past couple of weeks, has been like, if you see a stock that's pushing up, it's hitting up towards areas of resistance. So for example, if VXRT is up around 1250 and it can't break over 1250 in the pre-market hours tomorrow, I'll literally write this down, right? If VXRT is up there and it can't break over the pre-market like 1250, and it getting stalled there, that could be a decent short. Now, I'm not saying for the entire day, maybe it is, but you can get a pullback. This stock could still be bullish and push up higher, but you can get a pullback from 1250 down to like 1150. That's a solid percentage gain. Take that money and run, and then there's opportunity on both sides, just so that you can at least see both sides. That's how I've been looking at shorts lately as well. And not trying to short the stock down to zero. No. Just when it gets a little overextended, take a little bit of that chunk back on down as it pulls back to VWAP or it pulls back to support as it's getting up overextended. You can usually get a couple percent pretty easily. I've been noticing as of late on some stocks. Now, of course, that's going to work until it doesn't work. So again, right, you're going to get at some point you can get squeezed out pretty hard. But it has been working generally on a lot of stocks. So let's see. I'm going to write VXRT on my watch list for tomorrow, and we'll be diving into that guy. We'll see how we wake up to VXRT tomorrow morning. That's going to be a fun one to watch. Potential for more short squeezes on Clove? I think so. I think the same thing for Skills as well. A lot of those kind of high growth stocks. Let Clove come back on down. I would like to see Clove down into like the $9.50 or $9 as it was a prior area of resistance. If Clove can hold up over 9, that would be really good. And then I think Clove makes its next push up to the upside. Clove is a stock that I was in a while ago. I just cut it because I was like, it's just not worth holding this thing, when I can be in something else or whatever, personally. But I was in it. I thought it was still a great longer term play as it dipped to be buying more. But what I know is I got a lot of people who ask me these questions, and a lot of people, I'll tell you, they got down here into like April and they're like, I can't take it anymore. Clove pushed up. It hit $9. You thought it was going to make that reversal, and then it came right back down sub 8 again. And at that point, mid-April, it was like, yeah, screw this, I'm out, and it was like max pain. And that's exactly what happened, where you saw everybody who was in this thing that thought it was a long-term play. Nothing fundamentally changed, right, from your long-term thesis on the stock. If you were holding the stock back in, the beginning of March when it was back at the same levels, nothing changed fundamentally of the company in that period. At least I don't believe very much changed fundamentally. But what got to you was that it popped up, hit 9, came back down. It's going to take forever. I don't have the patience for it. Now, 3 weeks later, 2 weeks later, it's pushing back on up. It looks pretty strong. It actually just hit up nearly $12. You could have actually, reaped a nice solid reward. You could have, what I recommended people to do at the time, I believe actually my brothers were in Clove, and they had it from, I think a $13 average. So it was horrible. It stinks, but I was like, hey, you got it's honestly not a terrible play. It's a longer term thesis. There's a longer term play here, the next couple of years, not just like a 2-month play. But the thing went down here. I was like, guys, this thing gets up to 9. It gets stalled out. I would sell some and look to buy some back if it dips back down. And that's exactly what happened. You could have trimmed some of your position up here, kind of a mercy exit. If you're a bag holder, trim it out, right, to be up to a point where you're comfortable with it. Then it dips back down. It came back down to the exact area that it came back down to as support, that $7 area. Boom, you could have picked up those shares that you just sold over 9 or around 9. You could have picked them up for $1.50 lower or even $2 lower and then gotten your average down significantly. And now you potentially could be green on your trade. For someone who had an average of Clove up around 13, if you sold half or you sold a chunk of your shares up around 9, re-added those shares back at 7, you bring your average now down close to 10, you're up in the green here when Clove hit up to nearly 12. Just that's kind of, there's a lot of ways to play these stocks, but that's an example of, obviously, hindsight's 2020. It worked out kind of well looking back for that strategy, but that's always an option inside of a swing or something like that. So, it happens, but it is what it is, right? There's going to be more opportunities and more stocks that kind of hit this kind of same pattern or kind of criteria right in the future, where you like it, but you're like, man, nothing fundamentally changed here. The stock keeps going down. At some point, right, it's going to reverse. The market makers, right, the big money is going to bring it back on up. Whoever they is, it's kind of like, I guess a joke, right? In the investing, trading space, whoever they is, the algorithms, whoever wants to turn them back on, it's up to them. But you're at their mercy. And people were talking too. I was seeing someone in the comments on a recent video who was saying that, this is so rigged because I'm looking at FinViz, I'm scanning through FinViz, and I look at, strong buy ratings. And there's pages upon pages upon pages of stocks that have a strong buy. And then I look at the strong sell ratings for analyst ratings, and there's none. Where are the strong sells? Why is it overly strong buy, even as we're pushing all-time highs on all the major indices? It makes no sense. It's rigged. It's manipulated. Yeah, exactly. It is. Like that's how I see it. It is. We just have to understand that it is rigged and kind of play the game. Knowing that, and as long as you kind of know that going in, it puts you in a much better kind of mindset or at least headspace when it comes down to stuff like Clove happening, right? This was one that I can tell you because at the same time, here's another example of a crowded trade. Everybody and their mother was in this trade. Why? Chamath SPAC, the SPAC king, the SPAC god, right? Everyone loved Chamath, and he took so many SPACs up to 2x, 3x, 4x, 10x. SPCE was one that went nuts. A recent SPAC that he went, and took Virgin Galactic public via the SPAC route. So he's taking Clover Health. This is looking great. Then guess what? They come after Chamath. He speaks up for the retail guys, the little guys, during the short squeeze, the GME, the AMC, all that stuff. He comes on CNBC. He challenges them, saying, "Hey, this game's been rigged. These retail guys, great. Kudos to them." And they come after him, and his SPACs got crushed. No, it's not just his SPACs. I mean, a lot of SPACs in general got crushed. But that's kind of a potential. There's an argument to be made there that there's manipulation going on. I wouldn't be surprised. Not to mention, they already knew. You go and scan the internet, retail was loaded on Clove at the time. Or it was IPOF or IPOE, I forget what it was. IPOC, IPOC, I forget, one of those. There are all these different SPAC names. Pre-merger, they were loaded on this stock. Retail, I mean, I was in it too. I'll tell you that, I was in it too. So they knew. But that's kind of how it plays out. Which is why someone asked me about NAKD recently as well. I didn't take NAKD because it was a crowded trade. That's what I see. So when NAKD comes back on down and it starts dipping and it has a pretty big sell-off day, then I'll pick up NAKD. They got a lot of cash. They're getting close in terms of their market cap. Take a look. If you look at NAKD right here, their market cap is, $455 million. They have about $270 million, I believe, in cash, right? So that's nice. That's more than half their market cap in cash. Right now, just NAKD, I know it's one of those heavy penny stocks these days, and it was an overplayed play. It's overplayed, but at some point, right, that kind of is decent, right, for the company, and they're transitioning more into e-commerce. Yeah, whatever you want to say, yada yada yada. Cool, sure. Will they make it or not? I don't know, but it does look. If NAKD drops back down, it does look appealing. And at the same time, what's going to happen is when it drops, because so many people are in this trade, what you're going to see is everyone's going to panic sell because, oh my gosh, I'm in this stock, it's dropping. I got a recommendation from some guy on Twitter or for some guy on social media. They told me to get in, and now it's dropping, right? You're going to panic sell because you don't even know anything about the stock. You don't know anything about what's going on behind the scenes, why it's going up, why it could go to $1, why it could go even higher. So you have no clue. You're going to panic sell because your emotions are going to take over. Now, if you can get your emotions out of it and say, hey, fundamentally speaking here, this is actually not a terrible play. Also, technically speaking, we've come back down off the highs quite well. This could give us a nice little bounce. I think it might make some sense. Then you can kind of talk yourself some sense into the play, and it makes a lot more sense. That's why just doing a little bit of due diligence yourself can be the world a difference when it comes to that mental aspect and second guessing yourself. Because so many times you'll realize that, oh man, I had that stock at like 10 cents and now it's $1. Like, you're going to look back at, there's going to be so many opportunities like that, which you can't get mad at. All you can do is learn from that and say, what did I do wrong? Well, okay, I sold it here because I was tired of it. I just didn't want to hold it anymore. Why? Nothing fundamentally changed. It just went down. That was it, right? So that's an example. Usually when nothing fundamentally changes about a thesis or a stock or a play that you have and you like it, usually when it goes down, you buy more. You always have cash available to buy some more. Usually that works out quite well. So that is AMP we just talked about, right? AMP we just looked at. Really, I'll pull it up again really quick. I like it down here towards 150 because look at this range it's been in. It's been this range, 150 up here over 2, 150 over 2, 150 up to 2. So if it gets back down to 150 like that for a better risk reward, although if it breaks over 2, it could make a nice move to the upside. It does look strong. I do like that chart. So that is what it is. What is the call option of the week? I personally don't trade options very much at all anymore. I personally don't. I just trade shares. I've been liking shares more, and I know that you see less volatility on the shares intraday, or you can see, unless you're playing a certain stock. But I would say if there was, if the market stays solid green, Twitter could be a decent call option play of the week, because I think Twitter coming down here to 55. I mean, this thing got crushed. Right? Twitter got crushed. Twitter's got some solid range. If Twitter gets back to even $60, I would even think about buying some. I mean, actually, if we take a look at this too, this is a longer term trend line. Are we testing this trend line? We could. So maybe give Twitter. I would do if I'm looking at Twitter here and I'm looking for a trade, not necessarily an investment. If you were looking for Twitter for an investment, here's your time to buy it. Right? Here's your time to load up on Twitter. But if you're looking for a trade, I would be buying some options out for like maybe a couple months out, maybe to the end of the summer, maybe even to like end of the year, or even January, 2022s. They're going to be more expensive, right? But I'd be looking. You can even go far out of the money if you want to go cheaper. But I'd be looking at that, and if Twitter dips a little bit more down to like $50 or so, or if it gets down, it drops like another $1 or $2 to this trend line, I'd be adding to that position and letting that one sit. If you like Twitter for the long term, that could be a good play. That could be a really good play, and that could pay nicely. Going forward. So everyone's going to freak out and panic sell, but Twitter looks pretty good. Here's your kind of your setup. We get back up over the $70. That's interesting. Let me actually pull up, where is it? I want to pull up Lucid Tracking. I think ARK Invest bought Twitter. If we dive into Lucid Tracking, this is actually a really cool site. Let's see. Yeah, I think they did. What did they buy? They bought Twitter, right? Twitter, we see that they have, oh, this is not updated for the 30th. This will probably update next week, but I believe ARK Invest loaded up on Twitter. Quite a bit of shares. I want to say over 1 million shares that they bought, I want to say, from what I saw. So that's an interesting one. So if you're looking for options, then that could be a decent option play. For me, I'm a shares kind of guy. Just how I mean, the reason why I like shares, I would say so much is because you can already get a pretty decent move, especially on the smaller cap stocks I play, where I look for the more volatile stocks when I trade the shares. But you can sell in the pre-market and after hours. So if something happened, in the pre-market, like earnings or like news, and it either spikes up or down, you can cut your loss, and then re-enter. or you can sell out for some profit, take some profits, and pull back. Like, earnings are great because a lot of those earnings reports, you get that initial overreaction for like even Apple and Amazon and Facebook. They pop so hard, and then they eventually pull back a little bit, right? So many times you can take some profits off and then rebuy a little bit as it pulls back. So that's why I like shares, personally. And then you don't have to worry about the time aspect. It's one thing to predict the move, and I found that realistically, I would say that I'd have to look back and really deep dive through statistics, but I would say I can predict a move on a stock 75+% of the time. The problem is sticking to that mentally, sticking to your plan, and then on top of that is the time. Can you predict that move in a specified time frame? And that's where options get a little wonky. So that's why I stopped trading them. I used to trade them a lot more, but I would have on a fairly small account, $1,500 day, then a down 500, down 1,000. It's like I just that was too much for me volatility wise. That's just that. Let's see. Sorry for not much. You didn't miss much. I mean, you can we've been diving through a bunch of stocks, and we've been talking about stocks this whole time. ZOM. We got to take a look at Ethereum actually really quick. Let's take a peek. ETH. How is it doing? Oh, we want to pull up Ethereum. Did it pop that? Oh man, it's so close. It hit 2,994. So close to 3,000. IPOE is 31% short. That's the merger with SoFi. I like IPOE. Thanks for your thoughts on ZOM. Yeah, ZOM is, definitely an interesting one. Just be careful. I mean, I don't want people to get caught up in that one and all of a sudden ZOM drops earnings and the thing goes to like 60 cents, because it could. It certainly could if they don't have numbers. Now, that could be an opportunity as they're bringing on that sales force. That could be an opportunity for them to launch from there, right? But this earnings may be the dip buy that you may be looking for if you like ZOM longer term. Let's see. Load up the PC, get some tickers going. That's what it's all about. What we're going to do, I'm only going to get like 10 more minutes left because I got to head out in a sec. But for those who missed, for those who are tuning in now, you can go back and replay from what we talked about in the beginning, which we had some good stuff in here. So it's all good. When you mentioned that you would take a full position over 10% on the stock, so I scale in. So that's how I do it. I would say, so I think about my positions in fourths generally. So roughly, if you want an example on how I would do it, I have a video. I believe there's a risk management playlist with one video on it on the channel. That's actually the video that dives deep into an example. But I'll look at a stock. I like the stock, a penny stock play. Now, many times these stocks, I'm buying them as they fall down. They're sitting at support. Great. I'll buy a chunk. I'll buy a fourth of a position. So my max size is 10%. So generally what I'll do is I'll buy a fourth of that max size, right? So let's say that my max size, let's say that 10% of my account, right, was $4,000. Let's just say that was the number. Then what I would do is I buy $1,000 at a time, right? So let's say a stock's at 150, I buy $1,000 worth. It drops down. I see that there's support at like 135. I'll buy some more at 135. Boom. And then there's even 125. I'll buy some more at 125. This way, I now have a 3/4 of a full position in that stock. So I have $3,000 out of a max of $4,000 in a given stock. And then what I'll do is I'll leave that 1/4. Ideally, you could buy it in. You could buy it whenever. But ideally, I like to leave that 1/4 for the worst case scenario, for like an offering if something crazy happens, just to get my average down even further if I still like the play. So it's kind of like I don't like to be in with that full max position unless something bad happens and I need to get my average down to get out of it, or at least to kind of minimize that downside, or at least make something back on it for a quick bounce or something along those lines. Generally, that's how I do it. That's just how I do it. KOPN is an interesting one. I want to see Ethereum break that 3,000 before we get off in a couple minutes, but let's see. KOPN is one that I haven't been looking through this one enough, but it's coming down to a really nice spot. So if you like KOPN, down here under 8 is nice. I think under 8's nice, but if we see under 7, then be careful because the floor there could be some bigger downside. So be careful of that under $7 or so. Smash hit that thumbs up button. That's all we ask. I appreciate you guys. This is going to be fun. I'm going to be doing I believe we should be able to do Wednesday again, live stream. This past week, we did a live trading on Friday because I had a physical therapy on Wednesday. I have physical therapy on Tuesday, so that we can do Wednesday. We can do Wednesday morning live market open stream. It was fun. We did I took a bunch of trades, actually. I took a couple of trades at least live. I think I took shorts. I took 2 shorts live on that stream, which was fun. And they worked out. So it is what it is. What happened with NSPR? Let's see. What is NSPR up to? I haven't taken a peek back at this bad boy yet, but it's coming down to a spot where I do kind of like NSPR if it gets a little bit lower. So let's see how it goes. I kind of like it though. It is a weird. I want to be diving through, but again, here it is. It has. If we can just quickly look at this, here's where I like it. We have some areas down here. So from where it's sitting at right now, it could be, they just had a reverse stock split. So under 6 down to about 4. Upper 4s, 5 would be a really good spot if it comes down into that area. So I will be watching NSPR for a drop under 6. I will say I left it alone this week. I was on other stuff, so I didn't worry about it. But I'll probably dive into this one this week. I'll actually put it on the list. We'll dive into this one and see what's up, if we got anything coming down the pipeline and what might make some sense here for NSPR. Actually, we can just quickly look at, let's just take some quick notes on what we got here for NSPR. So we got a market cap of 48 million, and that's pretty small, right? 7 million float, low float stock. Yeah. Do we have any insiders? We have buys in the 60s, and that was pre-split though, so those prices are going to be a little bit off. You got to adjust those to the split prices, which I think are still. No, those are actually, these 62s are actually kind of, I think, similar to where it's trading at now. If not, these are actually below. Or these are above where it might be currently trading at. So this could be a decent play going forward. So I'll look a little bit deeper into that one going forward here. UXIN, OCGN. OCGN has been super strong. And then VXRT, yes. VXRT, that one's nice. We were saying a little bit earlier, right, on VXRT, we were looking at 1250, 1260. Some of these little highs back in here, that could be resistance. If it gets over that level, I would not be surprised if VXRT makes a push to 15. So that's what I'm watching. It's one of my first ones to watch on the list tomorrow morning. I'll be pulling that one up when I wake up, and we'll take a look at that. Newbie, what platform should I use? I don't want to be biased. The platform I use, and there's links in the pinned comment and stuff in the description, is Webull. The reason why I would say that's a really good one for penny stocks. Now, of course, you have people, there are downsides every platform. The reason why is because you can trade from 4 a.m. Eastern to 8 p.m. Eastern. Okay. Now the downside is going to be the customer service aspect. That is not the best, right, compared to like a TD Ameritrade. But with TD Ameritrade, if you can only trade at 7 a.m., you miss out on a 3-hour stint of time that you could take trades. And many times on stocks that have momentum, you could set your sell orders for the next day, and they pop on up at 4 a.m. They gap up, and there's profits to be taken. So I like that, and I would recommend it for someone who's new, and it's also what I use. Outside of this, if you're looking for a beginner, right, you don't want to be paying commission or anything, so I would say Webull's great, TD Ameritrade's great as well, E-Trade's fine, and then I think Trade Zero is the next one I would be looking at. I think Trade Zero, if there was another platform that I was going to get, I would probably look at Trade Zero. So if I was going to get another one, I don't have an account right now, but if I was, from all I've seen, I would look there. If these aren't, if at least the other ones we've mentioned are not good enough, or you want to diversify into having more platforms. Let's see. Who we want to trade for when the company's around? Yeah, well that's the thing. I don't know. I mean, let's pull it up. How did it do this past week? Well, look at that. It bounced. It's got a nice support here at this 1125. And maybe it's a decent play, and especially with the EVs and stuff that they got going on, I guess. That's my problem, is that I just don't think you're going to get enough people who are going to be looking at Ford as the innovator in the space. Again, though, I think with the electric F-150, right, their talks where they're revealing that soon. The electric F-150, I don't know. That could be crazy. Who knows? I mean, that does well. I just don't think you're going to see Ford go from, you're not going to see Ford go from where it's at now to $20, that fast. Maybe in a couple years, if they do kind of hold their ground in the EV space, I guess, and they do well, maybe, but I don't know if Ford's the best play. It could be a better potential longer term hold. Ooh, we got a spam call coming in. Maybe, but that's that. And in terms of the broker, we got depends what country you're from. Yes, it really comes down to that. Trade Zero Interactive. Another 800 call. Dang. Crazy. Oh, those from Apple Inc. That's weird. Okay. Apple's calling me, telling me to buy their stock. I think, they're calling me again, man. What is going on? What is up with that? That's so weird. Let's see. Let's take a peek. Riot could be a decent play with Bitcoin and Ethereum pushing up. Let's pull up. What's ETH looking at? Did we miss the 3,000? Oh, it's so close. It's so close. Oh, man. Let's put up the 1 hour on it. Let's see if we can get there. Oh, it's going to do it. We're $4 off. $4 off. Oof. Yeah, but Riot Mar are probably back on the... Well, they've been... It was tough to buy the dip on those. I'll tell you that right now. When they dipped down here, it was not easy to buy the dip because Bitcoin didn't look good, and it was like around the weekend time frame, so it was such a weird time. But they got range. I mean, they got ranged back to the upside. I mean, on both of these stocks. So these could be good plays going forward. They've been good go-tos for me for day trades. Just watching them, less stressful in terms of having to worry about like the overnights and stuff like that. Where Mara worked out really well last time. We pull it up. For example, Mara, let's pull up the 5-minute. We shorted this one live on the stream. We were playing it right here, and we shorted it because it was up like 11-12% on the day already. And so we shorted it saying, hey guys, guys, I've watched this stock enough to know that it does not stay up this much. Unless Bitcoin continue to just go crazy, I don't think Mara is going to stay this high. It will probably pull back. And it ended up finishing the day up 7%, but it was up around 11% at the time. And I was saying I would like a pullback on stocks like this that get really overextended, that just go straight up for like an hour straight. A pullback to VWAP is what I was looking for, and that's exactly what we got. I think I covered my short a little bit sooner. Around 37.50 was where I covered the last bit. So yeah, I could have squeezed out another 50 cents if I wanted to. But when I short, that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking to take the stocks down to the ground. No, if I can get my 3 to 5%, I'm happy. I'm moving on. That's it on the short side. For the most part on stocks like that. So that's that. And SPR month of April dropped below 1. I should have answered the Apple call. I did buy a new computer today, so maybe that's why. That's why they're calling me. This problems with my order. So we'll see. Let's see. Okay, I gotta go. I gotta wrap things up. I'll look at SGBX, and then we'll wrap things on up here. So this will be up here. Again, you guys can always tune back and rewatch the stream. We're about an hour, a little bit over an hour and 2 minutes now so far. SGBX is getting back to favorable levels. I like it down here. Under $4, I think is a decent spot. If it breaks out back over 4, it breaks out of this downtrend and it could make a run. Then it's got to break the 50 SMA at like 460. Because it tried to break over this downtrend. It did, and it got to the 50 SMA here at 575, and it got rejected. So it's looking like it wants to break this downtrend. But it's getting back to a point, similar play here, SGBX, where it's massively overdone. The sell-off is potentially overdone, or it's oversold now, and we can see a reversal to the upside. So that's that. Let's see. Vino, V-I-N-O, pumped hard on Twitter, ultra calls in after hours. This one could be a player in tomorrow morning. Let's take a peek. Oh, I'm getting the charges now hitting. My Apple charges are hitting. There we go. That's why they're probably calling me. Yeah, this is a bottom play, man. That was a nice bottom play, and it pushed on up, and it's up a lot. So this one could be a play for tomorrow. It's up a lot in the after hours. But I got to wrap things up. I got to run. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I'm sorry if I missed stuff at the end. I appreciate for tuning in. Every single week. We do this every single Sunday night, so make sure you're subscribed here, tuning on in. Hit that thumbs up button. Live stream should be Wednesday morning for the market open. Outside of that, we're posting pretty much daily, so make sure you're staying tuned for some of those videos, updates on what's going on. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you for watching, hitting that thumbs up button, and let's all have a great green week. Let's look here at futures. What do we got going on future-wise? Still green, nice and green. So that's what it's all about. I appreciate you guys, and we'll see you in the next one. Stay green this week. Peace.